Hello, good evening. Welcome to the August 19th school board meeting. We offer Spanish interpretation services from Nate with Language Connections. If you need translation assistance in person, please check with Nate for a device. Nate, please translate this information.
Buenas tardes, se ofrece el servicio de intérprete esta tarde, hay auriculares ahí atrás a fondo y estamos disponibles para lo que se ofrezca.
If you wish to make a public comment, there are two options available for you. The first option is for commenting on agenda items only. The second option, which comes towards the end of the meeting, is for all other topics. In order to speak tonight, you will need to sign two forms, the sign-in form and the guidelines form. Barb, would you please take roll?
Director Walker,
Here.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Here.
Director Rice,
Here.
Vice President Villanueva,
Here.
and President Beckett is excused.
Thank you. We provide live streaming for the meeting. The link can be found on our webpage under Board of Directors or by going directly to ysd7.org/board meetings. If you're interested in watching past meetings, you can find them on our webpage's Yakima School District YouTube channel. If you will join me, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our character word for the month of August is mindful, fostering an awareness of one's thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. Consciente, que tiene conocimiento de sus propios pensamientos, emociones y entorno de manera intencionada y sin juicio. And next is our Yakima land acknowledgement.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
Hoy las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Yakima descansan en las tierras ancestrales de las 14 tribus y bandas confederadas de la nación Yakima.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
La gente de la nación Yakima habitó más de 10 billones de acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties.
En los condados de Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Franklin, Kittitas, Klickitat, y Yakima.
Today we honor those native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture.
Hoy honramos a estos pueblos originales que están vinculados en la tierra a través de historias, leyendas y culturas. We acknowledge the descendants who live in the world today.
Reconocemos a sus descendientes que viven en el mundo de hoy.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Agradezcamos a los guardianes de la tierra, quienes han vivido aquí y continúan viviendo aquí, desde tiempos inmemoriales.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect. Un reconocimiento es una manera simple y poderosa de mostrar respeto.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture.
Y un paso hacia la corrección de las historias y prácticas que borran la historia y la cultura de los pueblos indígenas.
It also honors the truth.
También honra la verdad.
As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Como distrito escolar, continuaremos fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones con la nación Yakima.
Thank you. Next, please join me in a moment of silence to honor the memories of 3 of our Yakima School District family members Dana Cagle-Liebeck, Catherine Katie Janine Tate, and Jim Wright. You can find links to their obituaries in board docs. Thank you. Next, we have updates from members of the board. Do any board members have updates to share? Nope. Next is superintendent's update. Superintendent Green.
Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge that at this season of candidacy, we have two of our candidates that are running for school board in the audience. So I'd like to call out, we have Esperanza Lemos to our right and the front row, and Jonathan Babcock to her left. And we want to thank them for being here this evening. As far as other items to share with the board, first I would add that we have a grant that was awarded through the Yakima Rotary A&R Committee. It was a grant for a shade project at Garfield. So there was a donation by a past educator in that building, and the difference was made up through this grant. It was Downtown Rotary. It was received by Steve Brownlow about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was able to be there with him. So I wanted to share that with you. The first day of school is August 27th for 1st through 12th grade. We do have the September 3rd date as a start date for our kinder students. I did upload, or Barb did upload in the superintendent update, a document for the board to peruse at your leisure. Every year I do meet with the Yakima Valley Farm Workers Clinic, and there is a program called Working Together to Improve Dental Care of Children. They work in our schools. If you have driven around at some point, you may have seen there are multiple buses in front of our schools conducting checkups for our students. And what I have shared with you is the report from the screenings in 24-25. So that is accessible in the superintendent update. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to follow up at a later date, but simply wanted to acknowledge that and thank our partners, Yakima Valley Farm Workers Clinic. We do have the opening day and benefits fair for all staff on August 26th. This will be at Davis High School. There will be an elementary staff will be starting at 8 in the morning in the auditorium on the 26th, and then the secondary staff will be there at 12:30. So there is a 2.5 hour, it looks like, program that we're going to have prepared for the elementary in the morning, and then in the later morning or in the afternoon for the secondary staff. If you would like to attend, please do let Barb know, and we'll make sure that we acknowledge you there. I do believe that President Beckett will be there, but we'd love to have all of you, if you could make it. Again, that is August 26th at Davis, 8 o'clock start time for the elementary, 12:30 for the secondary staff. Last item that I would share is this last week, I did have the opportunity to do a quick there and back to Seattle to meet with Representative Sharon Tomiko Santos from the House Ed Committee. So we continue to forge more positive relationships with our legislative representatives. Was able to have, as the only superintendent with her that day, some personal time and get a feel for what the legislature may be looking at in this next session. She does have a group that she has put together called the Big Idea Group. It is made up of representation from across the state, about 30 different individuals. I'm actually on that committee. It is, I believe, in direct kind of correlation or response to the superintendent group that we've conducted with the University of Washington, to which she came and she did contribute and spoke with our group. And she's doing some, it seems like, some parallel work around rethinking public education, not just the financial component, which is the area that we're focused on as superintendents, but she's looking at the entire complexity of education, from pedagogy to certification to the financial component. So I was able to speak with her about that as well, and look forward to participating in her sessions through the end of this year. She has about 6 sessions that she's organized, and then there will be next steps beyond that. So with that, I just invite you to, again, consider your calendar for the 26th, if you can make that. And then I do believe that we're going to share some highlights about how you can be involved more with the community in our next update.
Thank you. That takes us to highlights for community engagement, and Ms. Fitterer will join us for that.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you, Dr. Green, for talking about the opening day on August 26th. It is the start of school. So as you will see on either the board docs or going to our website, ysd7.org/back to school, you will also see a plethora of school events like open houses and orientations. Actually 2 pages of 2 columns each full of those. So we would invite you or the public to attend those open houses if they would like to see the schools, see what's going on there. And then of course we also have sports physicals that are happening and immunization clinics. So 'tis the season.
Thank you. Next, we have our monthly financial update with Jake Cooper, Assistant Superintendent of Finance.
Barb. Before the PowerPoint comes up, just a brief enrollment update. So this time of year, we're watching enrollment keenly. Right now, we're about 116 below projection to be exact, which puts us in a pretty decent place by the time school starts. Yakima's enrollment often gains over the summer, and particularly when that yellow bus starts to roll, we often get children. So I believe our enrollment projections will be very close to actual. Of course, we're awaiting final enrollment numbers, but I would be remiss not to let you know that the budget you're going to adopt has sound enrollment numbers underneath it. Before you, this evening is the monthly financial update. This will be your last monthly financial update until the end of August, first part of November, as this is the month of July, and then we will set about closing the books, and that takes us 6 to 8 weeks to accomplish, and then bring your final fiscal year report. As we talked about last meeting, there was a change in the timing of apportionment, but as noted in our items of interest, it was a timing and didn't affect the overall allocation. Our enrollment trends, as you can see, flat year over year, and then down over several years. And then this is the budget versus actual. As I said many times, I hate this graph because it points out I overprojected secondary enrollment. That will not happen again. But that overprojection, we were able to still move forward and add to fund balance by the end of the fiscal period. Cash flow, as I've told you many times, is what I always want the board to pay attention to. Cash is king. Now remember that cash is inflated by about $4.5 million of the tax anticipation note. That will be expelled or expended out in next December, and we will have cash sufficient to be able to pay that off and move forward with the fiscal year. So you see July's cash is just right now, just under 24 million. I anticipate cash at fiscal year end to be about 22.5 or 23. And then of course we'll have accruals after that. So Graciela, we anticipate cash in about 23 million, and then we will expend that $4.5 million out in December. So we'll have sufficient cash flow to do that. But positive cash flow, as you can see, the blue is the actual and the green is my projected. And so throughout the fiscal year, we were very close to projection. There is, of course, anomalies that come from the state and how funding flows through. But overall, through your fiscal period, positive cash flow. And again, our goal is to rebuild some surplus so we have liquidity going forward. Budget versus actual on the revenue side. So you can see the blue bars are the 24-25 actuals. They are, in most cases, either slightly at or right at budget, which is in the black bar as we move through the year. And you can see, as we talked about, the July catch-up payment from the state, you can see the July revenue was actually above projection. And then the June, as we discussed, was below. So it tracks with what's happening on the state side. They short funded us in June and then gave us some extra cash in July. Expenditures. What I would like to stress on this is the stability month to month. So We often have some volatility in school districts for expenditures at the end and the beginning of the fiscal year because we have accruals and accounting. So you have some prior year expenditures. So you do have some volatility. We also have optional days we discussed. So there's large payouts at the end of the fiscal period because our staff work a huge amount of optional days, something 4 or 5. So a day right now, to put in perspective, is just under 700,000. So if you want to figure out roughly what a day is, so 4 days, extra 2.8 or 3 million will be expended in the July and August period. But most importantly, you can see month to month the stability of the payroll and then the MSOC. So everything, payroll's moving along 20 million plus or minus 500,000 or 600,000 a month approximately, and then we'll have some spikes based on accruals, but stability is what we're the aim. MSOCs, which can be more volatile because there are material supplies and operating costs. Again, blue bar is actual and the black bar is budgeted. So we have been below in some months, and then you can see we pick up in July and August predominantly for prep for the next school year, but we are also expending funds for maintenance projects throughout the summertime, so those expenditures hit as well. And then that is it. So that is the final monthly. You get those every month. Will be a brief hiatus. I'm sure you're going to miss me while we close the fiscal period, and we'll be back. And then I will be back shortly with our agenda item. Is there any questions?
Any questions from members of the board? Nope, thank you. Next on the agenda is comments from the public on agenda items. And we will see. Nope, no individuals have signed up. Next is the consent agenda. The consent agenda enables the board of directors to efficiently deal with matters that have been delegated to the superintendent, but by law must be approved by the board. Items on the consent agenda are voted upon as one block and approved with one vote. Any board member has the right to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate discussion and actions. The consent agenda today includes approval of minutes for July 2025, notification of approval of warrants for July 2025, approval of personnel actions, approval of out of endorsement assignments for the 2025-26 school year, and budget status reports for July 2025. Do any board members wish to have separate discussion on any consent agenda items?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions and opposed. Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have a series of approvals. First is Mr. Cooper up again, Resolution 12.24.25, adopting the 25-26 budget.
Good evening, members of the board. Now, this is always for some could be an anticlimactic meeting because for me, and my staff, this is the end of about 10 months of solid work. And we do the public hearing, we did our work in the spring, and tonight before you is the final action. Required by state law, you are to affix the appropriation level for the school district. And so before you is that final resolution. So what the resolution does is it sets the appropriation level for the school district, fund by fund. The revenue that is in the budget is not the appropriation level. So the board does not set the revenue level, only the expenditure level. So if we collected more revenue, we would not have to come back to you for a budget extension. However, we only have the expenditure authority that you have given us in this budget. So before you this evening is a resolution adopting the 2025-26 budget. And of course, I would be happy to entertain any questions at this point in time. Attached to the agenda are the presentation from prior meeting, the complete full set of the F-195, which is Form 195, and the F-203, which is Form 203, which is the complete set of budget documents that are required to be filed with the state, along with the state revenue estimates. Those are all attached to the board packet for review, if anybody would like to look at those in detail. Again, between last public hearing and this meeting, I have received no additional public comment in my office on the budget. So we do monitor closely, particularly between the public hearing and the adoption meeting. So just to confirm to the board, I have not received any additional public comment on the budget in my office or through any channels that I'm aware of. And so before you this evening is the final action on the 25-26 appropriation levels. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions or discussion from members of the board?
I move to approve resolution 12.24.25, adopting the 25-26 budget.
Second.
I have a motion and second for approval of resolution 12.24.25, adopting the 2025-26 budget. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Could we do a roll call vote on this one?
Yes.
It's a pretty important resolution.
Director Walker,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the board, thank you for adopting the budget. I know it's a long process over several meetings and a lot of public input. And we do appreciate the continued trust you have in the finance office in particular, but the broader administration. And we'll move forward with the fiscal year. And we'll give you updates along the way, of course, as we do monthly. But again, the fiscal challenges we're all facing don't seem to be getting any easier, but we continue to face them as they've come at us. And that will be our jobs going forward. So.
Jake, thanks to you and your staff for the grueling work of putting together this budget for next year. I know that it was difficult work and required a lot of pretty intentional thought regarding where we're going to be over the course of the year. And I, for one, appreciate all the hard work that you and your staff have done to bring us a budget that gives us the necessary information that we must have in order to do our jobs.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is approval of the 2025-26 school year board meeting schedule. Superintendent Green.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge, which I missed during the superintendent update, that Deputy Superintendent Chris Larson is out this week. This is a week in which she's taking her child back to school and getting things settled. So she is excused, and with her absence, I have the pleasure of presenting on several items. The first being the approval of the 2025-26 school year board meeting calendar. You've been able to look at the calendar since the last meeting. The things that I would call to your attention are in September. We typically, it's the same Monday, Tuesday schedule, 4 o'clock for Monday board meeting, 7 o'clock for a Tuesday board meeting in the evening business meeting. In September, we have one on the 2nd because Labor Day is on Monday. So that moves that to 4 o'clock on Tuesday, the 2nd. If we look in March, just like this past year, we actually have 3 meetings in March. You may remember we're only required to have 1 meeting a month. We have 2 scheduled. We try to do 2 every single month. But with spring break at the beginning of April, we have bumped that April meeting to the very end of March, therefore giving us 3 in that month and only 1 in April. So that April 21st date becomes very important. And then I think the last thing I would share is, let's see, I think that's actually it. If there are any questions about the board calendar, I could entertain those questions. If not, I would ask that we approve the 2025 to 2026 board meeting schedule.
Any questions from members of the board? I will entertain a motion that the board of directors approve the board meeting calendar for the 2025-26 school year.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the motion move forward. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have approval to renew contract with Next Level Speech for the 25-26 school year. Superintendent Green.
Actually, the next three items are very similar, but I will start with the first one that you introduced. Thank you, President Villanueva. This first one, next level speech for 25-26 school year in the amount of $1,250,000 is to provide speech language pathology services to support students with special needs. That is a tremendous sum, and we are making sure that we are estimating a number or giving you a number that we believe we won't exceed. In the past couple of years, we have actually had to return to the board to ask for additional funding. So this is up to that amount, therefore not coming back at a later date with changes. But if we do exceed that, or it looks like we will exceed that, we will come back. Again, these services are for speech language pathology services to support students with special needs and positions that we are unable to fill internally.
Are there any questions for members of the board?
I just have a question for Dr. Green in terms of your work groups with other superintendents and OSPI. Is there any kind of movement to provide some energy around getting qualified speech and language pathologists back into this state? It's a statewide issue, I understand, that all districts are struggling with finding qualified people to provide those services. And there are also, it's a state issue of providing training programs for those people. Is there any movement in Olympia to resolve this issue, or we're just going to keep paying through the nose for out of town?
No and yes. No, there's no movement, and yes, we will continue to pay and meet the obligation that we have. There is not a collective group coming together to address that deficiency at this time. Doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future, but at this point, we're locked into creating our own pathways, working to do that at a time where we're reducing positions, which makes that extremely difficult. So it's pretty cutthroat out there to find the few people that are available and recruit them first. But thankfully, we've been able to do some, but obviously falling far short if we're talking about $1,250,000 in services.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to let the Board of Directors grant approval of the contract with Next Level Speech for the 2025-26 school year in the amount of $1,250,000 to provide speech language pathology services to support students with special needs.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next is approval to renew contract with Soliant Health for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you. I started with the $1,250,000 number. You will see that in this request, we have for Soliant Health, this is for the 25-26 school year. This is for almost $1 million. It's $980,000 to provide classified support, which is the American Sign Language staffing support and speech language pathology services in working with students with special needs. If I were you, I would say, didn't we just talk about providing speech language services and now we're doing this again? Yes, and the answer as to why we have multiple contracts is that we have so many services that we need in our special education department and other services that we provide for students that one entity cannot provide all of those services. So therefore we go with multiple companies, and this being one, Soliant Health. And for the request is for $980,000 special education services budget. I think the last thing that I would add, and I don't know if Jake has this at his fingertips, but I know at least one of the budget, I think it's the earlier budget that he spoke about, our services for special education have continued to go up. I know that when we had the levy 2 years ago, and I was speaking to all kinds of focus groups and staff groups, I would share that we spent around $40 million a year for special education services, and around 9-10 million of that was made up for with our local levy, because we are not adequately funded for our special education services. I do believe that has grown significantly. I know that Jake is looking for that right now. When you find that, we will share that, but we can share that with the next topic. But again, 980,000.
Are there any questions for members of the board? I'll entertain a motion that the Board of Directors grant approval to contract with Soliant Health for the 25-26 school year in the amount of $980,000 to provide classified American Sign Language staffing support and speech language pathology services working with individual students with special needs.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. Fifth on the approval list is approval to renew contract with ASL Professionals for the 2025-26 school year.
Thank you. This is we're seeking approval for a renewal contract for ASL Professionals. This is through ASL Professionals is the name of the entity for the 25-26 school year, and the amount of $750,000 to provide classified American Sign Language ASL staffing support, working with our students with special needs. This will finalize the trifecta of contracted requests to meet the needs of our special education, our students receiving special services. So again, $750,000.
Are there any questions from members of the board?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to grant approval to contract with ASL Professionals for the 25-26 school year in the amount of $750,000 to provide classified American Sign Language staffing support, working with individual students with special needs.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 4-0. We've arrived at the second opportunity for comments from the public, and no one has signed up. Next is policy governance. We have approval of ratings for 550 educational and racial equity policy. And 2 of 5 board members responded to the policy. I wonder if there is consideration from the board to put this back out for survey. 2 of 5 is not really sufficient, and certainly I'm one of the 3 that did not respond. How does the board feel about putting this back out?
I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's 2 is not appropriate.
This time of year, it's easy to get lost in
It is.
in the emails you aren't answering.
Yes. Do we need to do anything procedurally to put this back out or remove from the agenda?
You would probably want to have 2 motions, one to table it to the next meeting, and then another one to reissue the rating report.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to table approval of ratings for 550 educational and racial equity to our next board meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll entertain a motion to send out a survey
Reissue
to reissue the Survey Monkey evaluating 550 educational and racial equity.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. That's the end of our meeting. Do we have a need for executive session? That's quick, 34 minutes.
We're like
We do
bumps.
not.
Is that, I would like a formal review if this is our shortest meeting ever.
It's not.
It's not?
It's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
I will not tell President Beckett.
It's very close.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending our August board meeting. Meeting's adjourned.